Hambo T. Now this is just a short weapon that's just a little bit over 2 feet in length. Don't confuse this with the Eskrima stick, which is made out of rattan cane. This is a solid piece of wood. Now we're going to start off with some basics on this, so I just stand up straight, hand by my side, and then I'm just going to come into Yoi, which is going to be a ready position. From my ready position, I'm going to move forward and block coming up. Now when I'm doing this, I'm making a nice rolling action moving up. I'm holding it in the right hand, and then the left palm here is just supporting this to do the movement. So I step forward and roll. The idea behind the roll is to repel a weapon away from you. So as you hit it and push up with it, it pushes the weapon away from you, right? I don't like the idea of wrapping your thumb around the outside of this, because as you come up and impact this way, you're going to break your thumb. So keep your thumbs to the outside. Now I'm going to move forward and do a downward block with this. And again, I'm stepping forward, and I'm doing this with my left leg and just moving forward and rolling to push down with it. Now again, you must get used to these rolling actions. So I just step forward, block, move down, and then move back. And now moving and doing an outer block. When I do this, I roll with my right hand, so I'm just twisting with this, and the left hand comes up and supports this. This hand forms a little groove, so it just fits nicely into this part, and I can just roll coming out, so I can step and block out. You need to extend your arms out fully when you're doing this. Don't come in with your arms here, because otherwise you'll collapse back. So extend out, do a nice powerful block, and then move back. I now want to turn, stepping forward and then just twisting off to the side. And when I'm doing this, I'm bringing the Hambo T up and I'm rolling off to the side this way. An attack is coming directly towards me, I can block off, and again I'm doing this rolling action. Note again that my thumb is just to the outside when I do my movement, and I can block and roll powerfully. So I step, block, move back. Now I'm going to do a scooping block with a strike attached to the end of this. Now I want you to visualise if a kick is coming into me, first thing I'm doing is I'm stepping out the way, I bring that Hambo T over, and then I strike across as I do my movement. So I step and strike out with it, step and strike out. And now I want to do a scoop to the inside. With this I'm bringing my one hand, my right hand just up to the back of it, I move off to the side and scoop out, and I want you to visualise again, if a kick is coming into me, I move out of the way, move and scoop and catch that leg. So I have a movement, step and scoop. Thrusting strike using the Hambo T. I'm going to step forward with my left and I strike out with this, and as I strike I give a little twist coming onto this. I want to bend my arm up so it's just at a slight angle, so it's quite a powerful movement. So I step and strike out. Now step with my left, strike with my right, and then just move back. The Hambo T is excellent for thrusting, and what I'm doing is I'm stepping forward with my left leg and I'm thrusting and striking out with this. Now when I'm doing this, I'm using a two-handed grip. I'm letting it slide just between the front hand, and my back hand, being my right hand, is giving a twisting action. If I change around this way, you'll see again I can make this nice striking action coming out. Varying your height will depend on your attack, going up to Jodan, Chudan, or down to Gidan. A reverse strike is stepping forward with one foot, bringing your hand up and striking out, and you're making a nice flicking action as you do your movement. So you step and strike out. If I change around this way, I step and strike out. The next weapon I want to show is a Kamasicle. Now what I've got here is a shaft and then a bladed edge, and you can see it's curved around onto the edge part. My first blocking action with this is going to be a rising block. Now when I'm doing this, I'm actually twisting off to the side. So if I visualise an attack coming in, the first thing I'm doing is getting out of the way, and then I'm lifting this up. As I lift it up, you can see that the bladed edge just rising up, it's just resting on the outside of my forearm, and this will instantly trap the attacker's arm as it comes down on it. Right, so I can raise it up and block and move back. You can also do this if you wanted to trap a weapon as well. So up, block, and move back. blocking out to the side this way, all I'm doing is I'm stepping and I'm blocking out this way. And I'm aiming the camera so it's going to hit the arm first and then I follow it through. So I step through. Don't come over this way because you'll hit with the shaft first. What you want to do is you want to use the blade edge to block coming out with it. Now I'm just stepping with my left leg and it's in my left hand, but you can obviously practice these movements from one side to the other. What I'm doing now is I'm stepping and I'm going to block and strike down to the side. Now I'm using the edge of the blade to cut down when I do my movement. So I move out and cut down with this. Now you've got to again visualise an attack coming forward. So I step, move to the side, draw this down, get the angle of the blade correct and strike down with it. My next movement is a scoop and block. Now I just move off to the side and I scoop upwards, but as I move upwards you can see the blade is coming up. Now what I've done with this is I've angled this so the shaft is pointing down and the blade edge is pointing towards the floor first, but as I move to the side this then changes around so the shaft is pointing up and the blade edge is going underneath. Let's just say it's like a kick coming through and I can block up and cut with this. Block and strike down at the same time. Now I'm holding this in my right hand and all I'm doing is I'm bringing my left hand just over onto the top where it just fits comfortably. I can step forward and block. You can also do this action where you're stepping away from a movement and you're blocking down. You've got to get the angle of the blade right when you go to do your movement so you get your block down with it. So if I just step back, I'll block down and finish. If you visualise an attack coming into my head, what I'm doing is I'm stepping out with my right foot but coming across and cutting and blocking up with this. Now I've got the edge of the blade facing inwards, I step out, block up to make my cuts. Reinforcing a block for extra power. I'm stepping out to my left side and I'm holding the camera in my left hand and I bring my hand over on the top of this and I'm pushing down on this so I can get a little bit more power with my movement. So I step out and push down on this. This can also apply for movements going into the opposite direction. So I'll move one way or the other way. If I want to reinforce a movement up, then I'm blocking and putting my hand underneath it. And if I want to reinforce a movement down, I can step and block. Now I've stepped forward, but you can also do this movement where you're stepping back, push down onto the top and strike and cut down at the same time. Using the camera to cut. Now I'm stepping off to the side and I'm bringing this out and I'm using my hips to twist so that way I'm going to get some rotational force behind my movement, and then I'm bringing it out, so I let it go along my forearm first, then bring it out so it moves away from my wrist and cuts off this way. You've got to think about the angle of your blade when you're doing a cut like this. So I step and cut and back. Stepping with my left, what I'm doing is I'm drawing and cutting down with this. Now my hand is pointing down, you can see that the curve of the blade is up this way and I can strike down with this. Now I step, come into a good stance position, twist on my hips so I get some power behind my movement and then cut down. In the cutting range, I'm moving forward and using the point to make contact first and then letting the blade follow through. So I step forward and cut up on this. To give this a little bit extra power, you can also bring your other hand up and you can do this on a pull and push basis. So you're pulling with the one, that would be with my left hand, and pushing with the right. If I turn off to the side this way, you can see a nice powerful movement. When you're using two camera, it's always good to just practice a small finger spin, and what this does, it takes it in the opposite direction for you. So when you're going to do your cuts, we'll say a movement up, you can change these around and then bring them back so you're in a normal position, swing around and cut through. Combining a block and a cut together. Now what I want you to do is imagine that I'm moving off to the side and making a strike and cut coming down on this. My other one is coming around, and as I block off to the side, I'm following this through. So I cut with the one and then follow through and cut with the other. You need to let your body flow in a nice flowing action to get these to work. So cut one and follow through. Just show you this again. Step, cut one and follow through. Blocking action coming up and following through with a thrust. I'm stepping with my left, twist off to the side, so I'm bending on my right knee. You can see that the angle is very good for the cutting action on it. Then I move forward off from this and then strike out with this. Once I do the strike, you sometimes have to draw it back because this will be going into the person's body, then move back. For my next movement, I'm coming in and I'm blocking and cutting down. Now I'm stepping to the side as if I'm avoiding an attack and cutting down with my first movement, and then I'm striking out. And this is a reverse strike position, so you see that the blade is just resting on my forearm, right? And I strike out this way. So my movement, 1 and 2. And again for you, 1 and 2. Using the 2 kama, what I'm doing is I'm moving forward and using these as a blocking part first and then pulling out to do a cut with them. So I come in, turn them off this way, cut out, then angle them back around and cut across the opposite way. I'm stepping off to the side and doing a blocking action where I'm drawing the kamas across so I get a very powerful cut. So I step back slightly with my right, off to the side to do the cut. Again, step off to the side, finger spin, move forward, and then a double cleave action coming down. Now you can do this where you just flick and drive these down to finish. My next weapon will be a side dagger. I'm holding this in my left hand, and I want to start off by just coming into yoi, a ready position, and I'm stepping forward and I'm just going to do a rising block, right? And I'm using the outer edge of this to block to do my movement. Off from this I can do a lunge strike and I'm using the pommel end to strike. So I step, block one and strike out. If I change my position, block one and strike out. Outside forearm block to start with. Now all I'm doing is I'm stepping with my left leg and blocking out. And I'm using the edge of this to start to get my blocking area into it so I can twist and block out. Once I've done my movement, I'm drawing across and making a strike, and with this I'm just rotating this between my thumb and first finger so I can strike out and back. So I have block on one, twist, strike and back. I'm moving off to the side this way and doing a block. It's like a palm heel position. This is going to be your blocking area. A block with the one, then flick and strike with the other. Now I've just got the side dagger just hanging onto my thumb part. My fingers come over so I can strike and back. So I step, block out, strike and back. My next movement is going to be a palm block coming down. Now I'm stepping out of the way of an attack, blocking down to start off with, and I'm just pushing this down. I bring my hand, this is my right hand, just onto the pommel side, and then I move forward and I'm thrusting so the spike can then attack the person. So I have 1 and 2. I'm now going to step forward, and as I'm stepping forward I'm raising this above my head and I'm putting my palm heel, and this is on my left hand, just resting onto this part of the side dagger. I raise this up so I get a nice powerful blocking action, but off that block I want to draw this down to the side, so if you were catching a weapon or a hand you could do this, or an arm, so it just fits in comfortably. So if I come forward, draw back, then I'm using the pommel end, strike coming out. I now want to do a block, and this is coming downwards. Now all I'm doing is I'm pushing down on this and I'm using my left hand just coming across this part of the side dagger. Alright, so that way I can block down, and this is going to be my blocking area. I move forward then and I hook this as if it's going into somebody's groin area, pull back, strike out using the pommel end on this, flick and strike, then I can move back. I'm stepping with my left leg and I'm holding the side dagger in my left hand, and I'm moving off to the side and I'm reinforcing the block. Now I'm using this part of the shaft, which I call the T part, in order to be able to give me my blocking range. So I step and block coming out. I can do a thrust position in with this, a roll coming around, a thrust through, move and finish. Reinforced block, stepping out to the side this way. Now I'm using again my palm heel to reinforce that T area, so that way I can block coming out. This would be an attack coming forward, a step off to the side in, and this time I'm swinging and I'm using the pommel end to make a strike to finish. My next movement is doing a scooping action, and all I'm doing with this is I'm stepping off to the side and I'm holding the side just in my left hand, and I move off to the side and scoop. When I'm scooping, I'll lift it up, fingers come over, and then I can strike through. Now you've got to visualise a kick coming through with this. I move off to the side, then I can strike out, take the person's leg out. Another scooping action is stepping off to the side this way, and I'm coming into Niko Ashi Dashi, which is a cat stance, and just drawing this so it goes underneath the attacker's legs. So I move and scoop. From that position, I can move forward, and I'm then doing a reinforced thrusting strike to finish. I'm now starting with 2 side dagger, and I want to move off to the side and do a double block, turn and thrust out on this. Now I have to coordinate this so I get the angles right to start off with for my block on it. Fingers come over on the top, step forward and strike out, and then move back. Double blocking to the side. I'm stepping out to the side, and I'm using my left leg just to move out to the side and block, and I'm again using the 2 of these. My hands come over the top and strike out and back. So I move 1 in, strike and back. Blocking and thrusting at the same time. I'm stepping forward and I'm making a rising block, and at the same time I'm doing a reverse strike using the pommel end to strike. So I step out and block. If I was moving away from an attack, so it was a long weapon, I could block and then thrust out this way. Striking out to the side this way with the first part of my side dagger is just to step and block out. Now this is an extremely powerful movement, but I can also come in low, strike and move back. So I have 1 down, strike, strike again and finish. When you're using a side dagger, it's important to learn how to do these small flicks where it just rotates through your hand. To do this, I use my thumb so it just wraps around this part of the handle, and that way I can flick out and I can take it one side or the other side, so it just rotates around nice and smooth. It does take practice to do this. If I just pull my sleeve up, you'll be able to see how I'm doing some of the movements with these, and it also helps then once you're doing your movement to be able to bring it around so you disengage your thumb, your fingers can come up and do a strike and bring it back. Now I flick with my fingers up, strike and back. So we have strike out 1, up, strike and back. Strike out 1, change, strike and back. Once you master moving this one side and flicking over, then you need to practice with both hands so you can get nice smooth movements through with them. So that way these just flow through your hands quite easy when you're doing your movements. And again, you need to practice this thrusting action coming out. So off to the side, through, up and thrust. Stepping back, coming into Niko Ashi Dashi, and now using a double strike down, up, and a double thrust forward. So I can step back, cross down, up, and strike forward. I'm stepping forward, crossing my arms over and striking out. Now this is a double strike, so I move in, strike out. I'm bringing these back coming into a cat stance position, I've now got this thrusting position and I can move forward with this. So we have strike out on one, in, up, strike forward. Doing a figure of 8 with a side dagger. Now for this, I'm just going to start by stepping forward, flick, and I'm holding it between my first 2 fingers, and then all I have to do is rotate it around to bring it back. I draw it back over the thumb. So I step, rotate, and bring back, and finish. I have 2 side daggers and I'm doing a double figure of 8. Now when I'm doing this, I've hooked them over my thumbs to start off with. I step forward and then I engage my first 2 fingers, flick them out, and then rotate them. So I go right over left, left over right. I bring my thumbs back into position, step back and finish. Making a double thrust where I'm using the pointed end to strike coming out. Now I'm just standing feet level to start off with. I step forward with my left and bring them out so my fingers have hooked around the top, and I transfer it from my thumbs over, step forward to strike out, bring them back in so it just hooks over the thumbs, and step back. So I move in and back. If I just turn off to the side, you'll see a different position on this. So I move, strike out and back. Now when you're doing a movement like this, you can obviously change the height of your attack. I'm stepping forward with my left and I just cross my arms over. My hands just go to the top of the shaft of the side dagger, and what I'm doing is I'm just pulling and striking out with these. So they come out. I use my thumbs just to control what I do, so I can strike out. I can also reverse them so they go the opposite way. So we go out and then back.